Coming up in this episode of the KickCast, 2 of the 3 projects that I talk about today are sent in from you guys. We also see that some O stuff gets shipped, the world's smallest cell phone charger, and video games get all jazzy. So sit back and relax. It's time for the KickCast. Hey everybody! Welcome to the KickCast. It's time for another episode of the KickCast, the podcast. Wow, I'm all over the place today, guys. The podcast that goes out and finds some cool crowdfunding projects, brings them back, and tells you if you should back, track, or sack them on there. And as always, I am Ktdata, and if you have been watching, you probably can tell that I sound a little bit under the weather, so let me apologize in advance that, I'm a little hopped up on cold meds and whatnot, but I did not want to miss recording an episode of the KickCast, so that's why I'm here, rain or shine. I'm going to record this episode, and maybe you'll hear some really funny things coming out of it because of all the meds and stuff looping in my mind. If you guys have never seen this episode or this podcast before, the whole idea of it is to just find cool and creative crowdfunding projects and feature them on the show. If you've never heard of a crowdfunding project, what it is a person says, "Hey, I have an idea to do something, but I need some money." And instead of going through the traditional way of taking out a loan or going finding an angel investor or venture capitalist on there, they put it on one of these crowdfunding sites such as Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and then they say, "Hey, okay, I need X amount of money to make this project happen. And if you guys just all chip in a little bit, we can make this come true." So that's the whole idea of crowdfunding on there. And this is going to be, I'm excited for this episode because kind of like all the crowdfunding projects, 2 of the 3 projects that I'm going to be talking about today were sent in by you guys, the listeners. So big thanks to all the people who are sending in projects and whatnot. I appreciate it. And we'll get into them a little bit later on. But before we go on, let's just cover some news. Not a lot of news going on in the website-wise for crowdfunding right now. But I wanted to mention that the Oculus Rift is actually now shipping. So you guys are probably going, all right, KT, what in the world is the Oculus Rift? If you guys haven't heard about it, we actually featured it on a beta episode of the KickCast. The Oculus Rift is a 3D virtual reality helmet that is supposed to make you fully immersed into a video game and with full motion head tracking and all that. They ended up raising $2.4 million and successfully funded, of course. And what was interesting about this is they actually said there's going to be a consumer version. So this is actually a pricey version. They were trying to get the buzz up and getting developer interest on there. So they're actually shipping out their developer kits now. They started shipping out this week. And it comes with the SDK examples on how to integrate this into Unity and the Unreal Engine. Samples, documentation, videos, and developer wiki and community forums that you can actually find on their website under the developer section. So if you guys are a game developer and anything, this is going to be really interesting. I think this is going to be super interesting because this is let's be honest, there really hasn't been a major milestone in video gaming in some time over here. Everybody who's tried this says that it's fully immersive. It makes you feel like you're in the world on there. And part of it is just how the screen is curved and oversized. So it feels like you're fully immersed and how you can do the motion tracking and everything. I know some people are probably skeptical. They're like, "Oh, this is virtual reality. They've been promising us this for 30 years already. They're never going to get it." This one looks really promising. And people who've tried it have let it's amazing. It's one of those things that you really can't describe until you try it out. So if any of you guys have an Oculus Rift dev kit that you and live in Utah and you're like, "Hey KT, you want to try it?" Just let me know. KickCast at ktdata.net there. So that is the Oculus Rift. And another big item, and both of these actually start with O, is the Ouya. So if you haven't heard of the Ouya, it is the $99 Android box that is designed to play video games. They made a controller that's fully designed to play video games, and you just hook it up to your TV. You can install Android apps on there. They have a marketplace they're developing and everything. And hey, it's only $99. It's cheaper than any game console I know out right now. And it's it's essentially a phone hooked up to your TV, and I think it's really cool right there. They raised $8.5 million, so I'm not the only one who thinks this is a cool thing. There were enough people to back it to have them earn $8.5 million right there. They started shipping out to their early backers today, and they also announced that June 4th, you'll start seeing the Ouya in retail stores such as Best Buy, GameStop, Target, or you can order online on Amazon. So I think this is really exciting to see. This is another one. I want, the more I look at this, the more I kind of see it as more of a companion to bigger game systems such as the PlayStation 3 or the PS4 coming in the future, and the Xbox and the Nintendo Wii on here, because these are it actually has full app integration and everything, so you can run it with everything else. So I'm really excited to see it. And $99, I really think it's a steal, because that's to some. I mean, $99, it's like 20 Starbucks. If you buy a $5 Starbucks, it's not that bad. The controller is a little bit pricey, but hey, in this world, all game controllers are pretty pricey. I think it's comparable in there. And what's nice is it's Bluetooth enabled, so you can actually hook up other devices such as maybe even iPhones and stuff and use those as controllers. So you don't have to worry about that too much. And I also think they made a great idea of putting it out and making sure retail stores will see the Ouya out there. And I'm excited, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, not another Android stick or something. I've seen all of this, but the more I look into it, the more this ecosystem seems to be a lot more planned out, and the hardware seems to be solid on it. So I'm excited to see what happens here, because this is kind of a pivot from video games where all these we start seeing more phone-based systems and whatnot, and that kind of thing. But who knows? We'll see. So keep your eyes out. Around June 4th, you may see an Ouya at a Best Buy near you. Ooh. All right, guys. So let's just start going into our projects. And our first project is, like I said, today, most of our projects were sent in by viewers and followers of us. So if you ever have a Kickstarter project or a crowdfunding project that you would like us to feature, I don't know why I say us. It's just really me right now. You would like me to feature, just send it over on Twitter on @KickCast, or you can do it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/KickCast. On Google Plus, we're KickCast. Or you can just email it, plain old email. Anybody still use email out there still? It's kickcast@ktdata.net on there. So let's jump into this first one. That was posted by big fan of the show, and he always shows up, LaserNorm, and it is the Fuel, the world's smallest cell phone charger on there. Oops, this is the right one. So big thanks to LaserNorm for posting that. And Fuel is a battery charger, but it kind of uses a little different approach to it. So everybody these days, we all have our smartphones, and the problem is we get these bigger screens, these faster modems and everything. And battery technology has improved slightly through the years and everything, but it has not evolved as fast as the phones itself. So, all of you guys probably have done this before, where you're like, oh crap, my phone's dead and it's only halfway through the day. Or, you're on a phone call and just dies. So I know a lot of people, one of the big draws for people who use Android phones are the user replaceable batteries on there. I know tons of people who just carry around 2 batteries everywhere. So that way, if one dies, they just pop the cover out, pop the new one in, and just keep doing what they were doing before. But so the Fuel, what it is a 220 milliamp. Yes, 220. It's not like 2000 or anything. 220 milliamp battery that is 1.5 inches by 0.9 inches by half an inch on there. So it's tiny. It's tiny enough where it's almost the size of a quarter. You can actually put it on your keychain, and it's the reason why it's only 220 milliamps, because it's designed to give that extra boost to your phone. Nothing too crazy or anything like that. Just and like depending on who you are, this might just be enough. For me, it probably is, because I can go through through a day with my phone not dying or getting close. I've had a couple days where it's died before I got home, but most of the time, it'll go red and say, "Oh, plug me in on here." So this is that little extra boost that you need just so before you can get home and everything. I love how compact it is. I love the design. I like how it does the old school um, gas can design on there. So it looks pretty cool to me. They designed it really well. And so the only drawbacks that I see is that you guys saw me hold up my iPhone. This actually only has a micro USB charger in it. So it's going to work with most phones. It's a drawback for me because I have an iPhone, but most people who have Android phones or Blackberries, actually most phones use micro USB as a standard charger on there. So it will work on most phones. And if you're an iPhone user, Apple actually does have a either a Lightning or a 30-pin adapter to micro USB adapter on there. So you can actually find those and just plug those in. I'm pretty sure that should work. No guarantees, but it works. This is definitely for those people who are like me, who don't use their phone constantly, where halfway through the day your phone's already dead. It's just that little emergency boost that you need to get something done before you can get to wherever you can charge. Like, that's perfect for me, because there's a couple times where I've had to go run errands and stuff like, crap, I just need an extra 20 minutes of battery life and I'll be at home ready to plug it in. And Laser Norm in the chat room right now, he actually mentions that on one of the reward levels for the fuel is that you'd be the first in line to get the iPhone version. They're making a Lightning version of that on there. So, it might not be in this first iteration, but their second iteration, you'll have it. There's about 16 days ago, they've exceeded their goal, pretty much doubled it on there. And, I think this is a great idea. This is not something to take with you for, like, I have an external battery pack when I go to conventions and things like that, but I don't like carrying it around because it's the size of my phone. This I can just stick on my keychain and like forget about it until I need it, really, and just remember to charge it once in a while on there. So for me, back, track, or sack, I definitely say back on this. This is a great idea. And I don't think it's going to be uber expensive too, because the retail price is going to be $25. That's not bad at all for what you're getting right there. Just an emergency jot that you need. So that, is the fuel cell. All right. So let's go on to our next project. And this was actually sent to me by gamerlaunched.com. If that doesn't sound familiar to you, stay tuned for a future episode of the KickCast, and we may have a interview or something with people from there to find out about this website. But let's go back to the game, Huntsman the Orphanage. All right, so I'm going to read this to you, and it's actually a video game, and it's going to be... So Huntsman the Orphanage is a horror survival game without weapons, blood, or violence. You're like, what? Wait a minute. So yeah, this game, you're not going to be blasting away zombies, you're not going to see any blood splatter anywhere, or you're not going to be able to have any violence. So let me give you a little bit more of the background, but keep that in mind on there. So they describe the huntsman as this. I'll use my creepy voice right here. My creepy announcer voice. Yeah, let's do that. The huntsman thrives in darkness, effortlessly weaving and raveling space and time through all centuries, seeking the lost and lonely, the orphaned and the bereft. Some say he came to be in our particular thread of reality in the 14th century, attracted by the misery wrought by the Black Plague of Europe and clad in the black leather guise of the plague doctor. Come face to face with him here and now at your own risk. He hunts within the half-light. The world can't do this. The world unsuspectingly prey blindly as safe, only to secret his victims within the realm he most adores, the blackness. So the whole idea about this is the huntsman. People say he doesn't exist or anything like that. And so you're this detective that is actually, or you're this investigator that is going around trying to find evidence of the huntsman. And there was this orphanage that in 1989, 12 children disappeared without any trace, with any sight or sound. And some people believed it was the huntsman. So you are now at the ruins of this orphanage, and you're trying to find out what happened to these kids and find any trace of truth that he exists. And all you have with you, no weapons, no nothing, is your phone and the flashlight app or the torch app, as they mentioned it. So these guys probably are British. And that's all you have. So you have to figure out how to get through these mazes, and there's probably puzzles and everything. I love this. This is really what I really like is the game. It's a game style where you have to like think of a way out, and you can't just shoot blindlessly out. It's really interesting to see where games have gone. Most of the mainstream games now you can just pretty much blast your way out of everything. You don't really need to think of any strategies or solve puzzles or anything like that. And this one kind of forces you to, because you don't have any weapons. You can't find any weapons. Why would an orphanage have any weapons in the first place? There's not really anything to slash, and you just have to wait. And what is amazing about this is if this story writing and everything is going to be as good as how they wrote this description, I'm kind of excited because it makes this game sound extremely creepy. I mean, like I had goosebumps just reading this description the first time around. Probably took it away when I was doing all my voices, but hey, that's what I do, right? On there. And, just even if you watch the video, the soundtrack and everything just gives you this chill down your spine on there. That being said, it's probably not a game for everybody. I'm not that big of a fan of these kind of horror stories because, well, I'm a sissy. I get scared on there. So in terms of backtrack or sack, I would have to say track on this, and keep an eye on these guys, and check out Game Launched, and stay tuned for more news from Game Launched. Ooh. All right, let's go into our final project that we have right now, and it is called Free Play. So one thing you guys should know about me is that I am a huge listener to the Frog Pants Network. I listen to the morning stream almost every single day. Every time they actually have their Nerdtacular event, which is here in Utah, I am there. I am instantly there. I love everything. And one of the things that I was introduced to is Andrew Allen. And what he does is actually makes jazz covers of different songs. Like last year, he actually made a Star Trek album, or a jazz Star Trek cover album on there, and I loved it. That was the first time I heard of his stuff, and I just fell in love with all the music he makes. And that was actually the second ever Kickstarter project I backed. So it has a nice spot. So he's back this year with Free Play, and it's actually a video game jazz tribute album. So they're trying to make a collection of iconic video game themes arranged in his awesome jazz style right there. I've been hearing a little bit of rumblings that it may not be all traditional songs. You'll probably hear your Marios and, maybe a Final Fantasy and stuff like that. But I think they're going to kind of reach out and try to find some video game soundtracks that don't get covered that often, and played in Andrew Allen's kind of style right there. And what's interesting is that last year, I think Andrew did all the arranging and the instrument playing and whatnot. This year, he's actually going to have a trio, so it's going to be Andrew Allen on the piano, Byron House on the bass, and Truman House on the drums, and they're actually going to go to a really nice recording studio, I think in Tennessee, and they're going to record it there. That's going to be exciting. So, well, you guys just don't take my word for it, so let me actually play a little bit of Andrew's stuff on here so you guys can have a sample of it. And Andrew, Brian Ibbett, please don't sue me for this. I just want to share all your good music. All right, I'll just leave that in the background a little bit. So, as you can see, if you're a big fan of jazz music or the style of music and doing video game covers and stuff, I highly suggest you back this. Like, I'm backing it. I backed it instantly when I saw it. Like, there are different reward levels. Like, some of these levels, you will get exclusive songs and everything. And like I said, I have no idea if this song's going to be on the album. They're still actually working on what's going to be on the track listing. So I have no idea what's going to be on there, but I love it. I love this kind of music and just hearing these covers. I'm a huge cover fan too, so that's another big thing. And if you're a big fan of the Frog Pants Network, you have people that are helping out from the network. So you have Scott Johnson that drew the album art, and then some of these levels are going to have sketches from Brian Dunaway on there. Of course, Coverville, he's helping out with all the production, and then Underground, of course, who doesn't love all this kind of music? I am excited for this, and you guys should back this project if you haven't yet on there. Lowest tier is to get a physical copy is $20 right there, and they're almost to their goal. They're at 8,932 now with 17 days. Their goal is 11,585. You guys should back this project because it's freaking awesome. That being said, that's actually all I have for today. Big thanks to everybody in the chat room who are still there. JT Graphic, D-Max, Laser Norm. Big thanks to you guys stopping by. Thank you to Laser Norm and Laser Norm and GameLaunched.com. Thank you for just suggesting projects and stuff, especially when I feel under the weather. You guys kind of saved my bacon. And, if you have any projects you want to promote or not, if you have any projects that you want me to talk about or cover, send it to me at KickCast@Ktdata.net or on Twitter at Ktdata or at KickCast. And on Facebook too, facebook.com/KickCast. Send them all this way, and I'll take a look at them, and it might make it on the show. There's a high chance. Or you can actually record a, quick audio or video recording on that and saying why you like this project. So we can have a conversation that way too. I'm so excited for all that stuff. Of course, like I said, I mentioned chat room. We record live every 2 weeks, so our next episode will be April 16th, 2013, and you can find us at live.kickcast.net. There's always a chat room in there, people chatting and everything. And, hopefully in 2 weeks I will feel better, and we'll be back to a regular schedule and finding your cool crowdfunding projects and everything. So, oh yeah, before I forget, also, if you guys are watching live or if I get this out before the contest ends, make sure you guys head on over to ktdata.net and look for the Rainbow Dash in a Flash contest. I'm giving away some My Little Pony Meatmo bots or USB drives over there, so head on over there and enter. There's not too many people enter, so you have a chance. All right, guys, I will see you in 2 weeks. Until then, guys, bye.